compassionate logic.
New ideas and efficient tools for a happier, more connected life.
How do you wrangle that brain? How do you live with 50,000 thoughts a day that are being pumped into a false reality of a lion-sized hole of some threat against your ego or physical body that it's creating all by itself? It's no wonder there's so much anxiety and stress in our country. The basic element that you're talking about that's filling that lion-sized hole is fear. And you even hinted at there are many marketers out there that use fear to motivate people to action, fear of loss. Is that something that you want to keep being a part of?
One thing that I found is really helpful when I am dealing with stresses is to actually write out the things that I'm stressed about. That can be somewhat cathartic to actually see them written down, and sometimes you just go, well, that's just ridiculous, and sometimes you go, wow, actually, really, that's more urgent than I thought. You know, maybe I should do something about that if I want to resolve it. But that gives you something actionable. It gives you a list where you can actually see it and go, you know what, this is actually not that big a deal.
One thing I would add right on the end of that would be a visualization of what it's going to look like when you're on the other side of that. Because worry that gets us into anxiety and stress is simply negative visualization. When you write these things down and what you can get accomplished, then picture yourself having or seeing your result and how that's going to be on the other end, and then what life is going to be like, and see if you can actually feel that in your visualization will help make it stronger.
And motivate you to actually take action, because some of the things might not be that
fun
or that easy, or you might not even know what to do yet about it. If you're desperately unhappy about something, then knowing what to do, or maybe you're depressed. Depression is especially difficult, and apathy can be very difficult to get out of. But if you can picture yourself experiencing that, or getting that, or achieving that, or making a contribution to it, that can give you enough energy to help you take whatever the first step is.
One of the reasons Mark and I work so well together is Mark, as you guessed, is an introvert, and I'm an extrovert. Mark is very analytical, will do things like, listing things out and categorizing them and putting numbers to it. I look at that and I go, that just seems like way too much work for what I'm going to get out of it. One of the things we both agree on that's really helpful is paying attention to what our mind is doing with the event that's currently at hand, and that the event doesn't necessarily cause our reaction to it, because we have a mind, and the event happens, our mind interprets it through a neural network that's connected to everything that's ever happened to us in our past, and then in 1/12 of a second we spit out a reaction. And many times we believe the reaction we don't have any control over. We really believe the other person caused my reaction, that it was so instinctive, gut level, that I have no control over it. But that's not true, because my mind is what created the reaction, not what the person said about it. An example would be, if it was true that the event caused the reaction, everybody would feel the same way when it rains. How do you feel when it rains?
Depends. If it's been really hot, sometimes it's a relief. If we're going to go hiking, then sometimes it's disappointing.
Yeah, farmers love it when it rains, if it rains at the right time. So rain doesn't cause their response, it's what their mind is doing with it, just like your mind is doing with it depending on what else is going on. Since it's our mind that causes the reaction to the events in our lives, the good news is we can do something about it, because it's our mind. So we can actually reclaim what our mind is doing about that event to have a different response. I used to drop things and spill things and go right into a rage, starting as a small boy and coming on up through adulthood. And I really didn't want to do that anymore, because I wasn't helpful to myself or other people if they drop something or spill something, especially my kids. The bad news is, if I have the ability to do that, I can no longer blame the other people for my reaction anymore, because it's all up to me. It's my mind that's creating that reaction. My responsibility is what my mind is doing with it. One of the great clues that we have is our physical body, from our neck down to our pelvis, and learning to actually feel what happens there in an event that we don't like. With Mark's help, I was able to check in to my body enough that when I would drop something or spill something, or revisit an event in the past of when I dropped something or spilled something, that I would have this kicked in the gut feeling. I would have this tightness in my chest. My throat would close up, like I couldn't breathe, and my jaw would clench really hard. And from these feelings in my physical body, we would be able to go into my mind and get down to those negative core beliefs that were coming from when I was 3 years old. I'm out in the shop with my dad on the farm, and my mind is telling me that it's a really great day because I'm going to be a big boy and I get to help my dad work in the shop on some equipment, and I'm holding the lug nuts and I drop them and he calls me a goddamn dummy. And my mind puts in place that I'm unforgivable and I'm stupid. Then coming out of that event to real time, it's not true that I am stupid. It's not true that I am unforgivable for dropping the lug nuts in the shop when I was 3 years old. And with practice and programming, like visualizing ahead of, okay, so in the future, if I drop something or spill something, the truth is I'm forgivable. The truth is I have intelligence. And then visualizing feeling open and relaxed and calm from here to here, it would take a while, but I would eventually get to the response I wanted. The response was to have no feelings in here that weren't calm, open, relaxed. And now when I drop something or spill something, I get to laugh. Or if one of my kids drops something or spills something, even if my kid's 35 years old, I get to be there in a way of, oh honey, are you okay? Is there something I can do to help? Instead of saying, oh you goddamn dummy, shouldn't have done that.
Thank you for watching our video.
If you like the video, please subscribe.
Please like.
Please leave a comment below. Thank you so much.